right, chat. So as you guys know, not too long ago, I covered the allegations that had been made against Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder has had himself in kind of a pickle throughout pretty much this whole year. He had the stuff that came out with his marriage. He obviously had the allegations we recently covered come out against him about some really insane stuff going on in the workplace. And apparently there's some more stuff going on. I was actually scrolling through Twitter when I saw this tweet by this person, David Dole. This is the guy Ben Shapiro's Daily Wired offered a $50 million contract to. We got this article by Mediaite. If you're not okay with guys playing sack tap, then this isn't the place for you, the source said. Crowder told staff, referring to the act of tapping another person's genitals. Perfectly normal workplace activity, right, chat? Just playing sack tap or whatever. Perfectly normal workplace activity. Let's get into the actual article. I do have the article pulled up here. So this is, again, an article by Mediaite. 4 Steven Crowder staffers exit show after interrogations and insane NDAs. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Things are getting interesting over at the Louder with Crowder crew. Steven Crowder sent draconian non-disclosure agreements to his staff with a $100,000 breach of contract penalty after Mediaite reported on allegations of workplace misconduct at the right-wing commentator's Rumble show, 5 current and former staffers said. So after all these allegations come out, he's now slapping his employees, not just slapping their sacks, unfortunately. He's now slapping his employees with NDAs so they can't talk anymore. Last month, Mediaite reported on allegations of bullying, inappropriate drug use, and lewd sexual workplace misconduct at Louder with Crowder. Just to remind you of some of the things that were going on, there were inappropriate text messages happening where he was sending nude images to male employees. There were people saying that apparently he had pulled out his genitals. At one point, apparently he had pulled out his genitals and rested them on someone's shoulder. That is something that allegedly happened. Unbelievable. So that last month they reported on that stuff. The popular online show that recently joined Rumble, a YouTube alternative. 2 hours after Mediaite published a follow-up report detailing an internal staff meeting at Louder with Crowder, held a response to the initial story in which CEO Gerald Morgan told staffers they could no longer communicate with former employees. NDAs were sent out. So again, literally trying to stop additional employees from communicating about what's happening within the company by making them sign NDAs. Unbelievable. That's definitely not something that a guilty person would do, right, chat? Definitely not something a guilty person would do. The agreements, which were reviewed by Mediaite, were emailed to current Louder with Crowder employees on July 26 and read in part, employees maintains its promises and covenants to not disclose confidential information as defined in the amendment. Company will provide employee with confidential information during the period in which employee is employed by the company. So again, making efforts to try and silence people from speaking moving forward. The agreement added that if a breach of contract should occur, the employee would be liable to the company for liquidated damages in the amount of $100,000. That's a lot of money, chat. That is a lot of fucking money, especially for somebody who's just an employee of a company. You know what I mean? Like, most people don't even make that kind of money annually. That's insane. I hereby acknowledge that said damages are reasonable, do not constitute a penalty, and I further agree that I will not contest the reasonableness of said liquidated damages and any such action commenced by either party with respect to this amendment, the agreement stated. The staffers were told they had to sign the NDA by that Friday. On July 27th, Crowder held a meeting in which he warned staff against speaking out. So allegedly, Crowder himself is warning people not to speak to the media. Oh boy. Steven was livid, a source close to the Rumble host told Mediaite. He and Gerald Morgan said they knew someone was talking to you, the author of this piece, based on the article you wrote. They said whoever text messaged former employees about us not being able to hang out with them would be given amnesty if we confessed by 2 p.m. Oh my God. This was like Oh my God, this is insane. If no one confessed, then they would see it as malice. No one confessed, so they started interrogating a few. They did a full on like interrogation of employees over. Oh my God. During the meeting, Crowder downplayed his sexual misconduct allegations, said another source close to the soon to be divorced father of two. If you're not okay with guys playing sack tap, then this is not the place for you, the source said. Crowder told staff, referring to the act of tapping another person's genitals. I'm sorry, Steven, but that is not a normal workplace activity. Like, that does not happen in a normal workplace.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Holy shit. After the interrogation of current staffers, 4 employees departed the company. The NDA was insane, said the source close to Crowder. Most employees were scared because of it. Some talked to lawyers about it because they were afraid, but thought if they didn't sign, that would incriminate themselves. He was intimidating. Stevens' increasing justification of his workplace sexual behavior between men makes a lot of male employees uncomfortable. He always says it's joking, but it doesn't seem like a joke to anyone anymore. I mean, I'm sorry, but like, I don't understand how you can take something like pulling out your penis and resting it on someone's shoulder. I don't see how you can make that out to just be like a joke. Like, where's the joke there? That sounds like an insane level of like sexual harassment. Like, what the fuck? Former Louder with Crowder employee said the NDA and bullying tactics are a clear sign that the toxic workplace culture will not be cleared up anytime soon. I would agree. The real problems never get fixed because the real studio problems revolve around Crowder's refusal to take responsibility, they said. He is never ever to blame. Gerald and Steven intimidate and bully the staff. They try to divide and conquer. They treat former employees like people who've left their cult and can no longer be trusted, and current employees are commanded not to associate with those former employees. It does seem like that. It feels a lot like a cult. Like, this is not a normal, like, chat, completely remove the political angle from this. Let's just pretend this is just a normal plain Jane company. Let's just pretend this is a company that makes, I don't know, rubber stamps, okay? It's a company that I just pulled that out of my ass. It's a company that makes rubber stamps, okay? Would you want to work for a rubber stamp company where this kind of shit was going on? Of course you wouldn't. Nobody would want to work for this fucking company. They compared Louder with Crowder to how Scientologists aren't allowed to associate with people who've left the church. How corrupt or clueless do you have to be to respond to reports of employee abuse by turning around and threatening employees with a $100,000 fine? True. The NDA kerfuffle has caused further turmoil among Crowder staff, and a new hiring announcement the same week added more fuel to the internal issues. Michael Spadoon, I don't know how you pronounce that, a former field director for Project Veritas, who was accused of kissing and groping a former colleague in a since settled lawsuit, has been brought on the Louder with Crowder team. Sources close to Crowder saw it as a questionable hiring decision due to recent claims against Spadoon, however you pronounce that. So let me get this straight. We have a guy who's being accused of texting pictures of his genitals to male employees. We have a guy who's saying that if playing sack tap on the workplace isn't, your thing, then this is the wrong place for you to work. We have a guy who has allegedly exposed his genitals to employees on numerous occasions and apparently has rested his genitals on an employee's shoulder. And the same company where that guy exists, they're now hiring somebody who was accused of kissing and groping a former colleague. Oh boy, that sounds like a lovely, lovely workplace, chat. Lovely workplace. This whole situation is obviously extremely concerning for the women who work in the studio. Steven's sexual habits and behavior at work are troublesome enough, but to find out a man alleged of sexual assault has been hired by Steven the same week you're handing out fresh NDAs with a $100,000 penalty would leave anyone scared, an ex-staffer lamented. Crowder did not respond to requests for comment. I wonder why, chat. I wonder why he refused to respond to requests for comment. So, as you can see, the downward spiral of Steven Crowder just continues even further, chat. Like, the shit that's going on with this dude and his career and his company is unacceptable on so many levels. Like, these are not normal things that happen at a normal workplace, chat. It's just not. So it'll be interesting to see. This is obviously a developing story. We just not long ago covered the recent stuff, right? And now we've got more updates that I just shared with you guys now. So this is clearly a developing story. We will definitely have more information coming forward, and I will definitely report that as we find it. But I think Transgirl Jade in the chat put it best. It's Jover for Crowder, and I couldn't agree more.